What is up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys motivation, inspiration, and a bunch of tips to help you guys on your fitness journey. And I am coming fresh off of Wadapalooza weekend. So if I'm still a little bit tongue-tied, it's because I'm still recovering. I just don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but I don't sleep well in my own bed. And if you're a coach, you know the stress of like coaching athletes and being on your feet, the warm up, the cool down, all of it, the mental stuff. Um, Being on my feet all weekend and just the overall accumulation of everything. It's like the adrenaline dump this week. In fact, this morning, like doing burpee box jump overs, I was just like, I don't even know if I can do these. They definitely were not my best performance, but at the end of the day, I got a good workout in. And yesterday, I was just too tired to move. So I'm happy that I was able to get out there and do something today. I am going to be updating you all on my gains train, but honestly, I needed to just have a couple of days to like recover a little bit. And I wanted to record this podcast episode. And just like I tell a lot of my clients, like when we've had a big shakeup in our consistency in our routine, sometimes that first week is just like getting back to doing what you were doing beforehand. And I will be updating you guys all on everything and honestly really filling you in on how stress and everything impacts things. But I want to save that for another episode. And today, I really want to talk to you guys about some of the bigger picture things that I find hold people back from actually committing to and following through with dietary changes. And I titled this one, It Might Not Be Your Diet That Is Holding You Back, because I think that most people are looking for a diet as a solution to why they can't seem to lose weight or why they feel like crap every day. Like they see, if I could just get myself eating better, I know that I would lose weight. I know that I would feel better. I know that my performance would be better in the gym. I know that I would have more energy in my day. I know that all of these things would happen. And some things I don't think most people don't think about also happening if they're doing it the right way. Most people struggle with, but I have cravings and this and that, and I have so much going on in my life. And so I want to focus on what actually might help you guys more than actual making dietary changes. And so that's really going to be the focus of today's episode. And as always, if you guys have comments and you're watching live, please feel free to post them in there. I'll be watching. If you're watching the replay and this helps you in any way, please feel free to shoot me a DM or a message. Would love to hear from you. But I'm going to get rolling. All right. So first things first, what do we know to be true about losing fat? Okay. Because most of you guys out there are looking to lose weight. You're wanting to feel better, but you also at the end of the day, hey, I want to like how I look better in my clothes. We know we need to control our calories, right? We need to create a calorie deficit. I think that it's been beaten the head to most people now that like, hey, we really need to get our calories controlled in order to see weight loss. And most people are like, all right, I've got to remove carbohydrates. I'm going to try, the carnivore diet that's just the first one on my mind right now because I've had a couple of clients asking me about that. And I will give my opinion on another podcast episode. But literally, I'm getting some good ideas for podcast episodes right now. But listen, most people are going down the rabbit holes of like different diets and really thinking about like the fresh start approach. Like I've got to detox, I've got to cut things out, sugar. And they're not focusing on the bigger picture things that matter more. And that's kind of what I want to really talk about today. So, in my opinion, I think that looking for diets is actually people looking for an easier solution and going around the actual hard work that needs to be done in order to actually see changes. So a lot of people are like, well, it's just easy to just not eat carbs. I'll just cut out every source of carbs from my diet. And that seems very simple. And it seems, oops, sorry guys. It seems like, well, that should work. But most people don't realize why it works. They just, realize they get that fast drop in weight when their glycogen's depleted. And then they get frustrated when they don't get results and they add carbs back in. So I think most people are looking at the wrong things when they're looking at, how to make changes to reach their goals, primarily fat loss. And also, and I can kind of say that, honestly, guys, the same thing here if you're health focused. If you're like, I just want to feel better, it's the same thing. At the end of the day, at the end of your fat loss journey, you should feel pretty freaking good. So you should be leaner, you should be healthier, you should be happier. But most people focus so much on trying to find the right diet strategy. And I've laid out before the right diet strategy for all of you guys, and I can do it again. I'm going to simplify it right here. Create a calorie deficit. Get enough protein. Focus on mostly 80% whole foods. 20% can be for the foods that you want just because you want to have them. Get some water, get your fiber in, walk 10K steps a day. It's pretty simple, pretty boring, pretty straightforward. But most people are like, that's a lot of work. It is. But if you're focusing on one or two things at a time, it makes it a lot easier because now you're only focused on one or two details. Most people don't want to do that though. They want results today, and that's why they overwhelm themselves. So today, rather than talking about diet, I'm going to talk to you guys about what is the real reason why your diet is not the problem. Okay. Here is the real reason why you are struggling to get started on a diet plan, nutrition plan. And I don't even want to call it a diet plan. You're just struggling to get yourself going in the right path towards your goals. Okay. First, you are procrastinating. You are procrastinating on making changes. And this is typically those people that are like, the diet starts on Monday. You're like, I'm going to start, when it's too busy right now. I've got to wait till my schedule clears up. Or I've got to, I'm going to wait until the new year. It's the new year right now. You're someone that's procrastinating. You might not even realize you're procrastinating, but some people procrastinate by simply, rather than actually committing to anything, they commit to nothing and instead just spend so many hours and so many days looking up different things and trying to figure out different tactics. You spend so much time in the contemplation phase, you are procrastinating on just getting started. So the first tip I'm going to give you guys today is that rather than procrastinating, rather than worrying about the perfect plan, rather than overthinking things, take messy action. At the end of the day, if you go in and things don't work out, you're still learning about what's not working out. And you're learning maybe one way that didn't work. In fact, that's how most people become successful, is that they try a bunch of things that don't work to find out the one thing that does. And hopefully, if you actually want to get started on a solution that you know will work, you can feel comfortable reaching out to me and I can help get you started with the right plan. But if not, you're going to try a bunch of things and realize that a bunch of things don't work. I've tried a bunch of things in the past. Most people have. But you have to stop procrastinating. You have to just take what's called messy action. This is also for those of you guys out there that feel like you have to have that perfect time, and you feel like that's and you live in literally wonderland. Like, you think that you're going to have this perfect laid out plan of like 6 months where you're like, nothing else is going to get in the way and I'm going to be able to hit the gym 6 days a week and I'm going to be able to be so spot on. It's just not realistic. And you're procrastinating on getting started with like the simple changes. Usually this is because the changes are uncomfortable. Like, I have to start meal prepping. I have to start eating, more protein. I have to start cooking more at home. I have to stop, doing whatever. Like, you have to make these changes that you're honestly not wanting to change. And that's typically why people go down the diet rabbit hole. They're looking for something that's going to get around those changes that they know that they need to make. Number 2 kind of goes along with procrastination and can also be a form of procrastination, is perfectionism. Okay. Again, you're thinking that you have to have the perfect plan. You're thinking that if you have a bad day, that you messed up and you've done it, you've damaged everything anyway, so you have to get started all over again. Not the case as well. Like, you have to realize that we don't live in a perfect world. We're going to make a bunch of mistakes. Life is not predictable. You cannot be perfect all the time. Okay. Giving yourself this, I don't know what I want to call it, but this unrealistic expectation that, you're going to be able to live in this perfect world and everything's just going to make sense does not happen. It's not real. So you've got to drop the perfectionism and realize that you have to learn to become a problem solver. You have to really learn how to, when things hit you, what are you going to do? And I loved thinking about it this way. James Clear, I forget the actual quote he said, but it comes down to, rather than focusing on what you can do on your best day, focus on how you can manage things on your worst day. And I think that is so beneficial for people to hear. So, perfect example, beginning of the week, everybody's like, my best days because I have meal prep and I'm ready to go. But then their worst days are like, it's Thursday and it's chaotic and they've got to pick the kids up and take them to soccer practice or volleyball practice. They ran out of meal prep. They have nothing left. They're not setting themselves up for something that they can actually sustain on their worst days because they're so hung up in this, like, I've got to have this perfect, meal prep and all that stuff. They don't know how to navigate just taking messy action there. So you have to learn how to actually do things on your worst days and learning a method that's going to allow you to do what you need to do on your worst days. Most of the time, that means more flexibility. And that's why I really like the approach of taking a flexible dieting approach to everything, because if you're flexible with things, you can actually still make progress no matter where you're at. And then the last one that I put down is people pleasing. And people pleasing comes down to a couple of things. Environment plays a huge factor in why people have a hard time sticking to a diet, because you see everybody else around you, you worry about the judgments of others, or you feel like in order to fit in, you have to be doing what everybody else is doing. And I'm going to be honest, if you're looking to make changes, you are likely going to be a little bit different than the other people in your environment. Not everybody is on the same path as you, wants the same goals as you. You are going to have to stand out a little bit and be awkward, be different. You're going to be the person at the table that's not drinking alcohol and indulging in appetizers. You're going to be a little bit more dialed in on things. And most of the time, when you do have a goal, you know that you want to do that, but you feel guilty about it. Or if somebody offers you something, you feel like you should be having it. Or if somebody makes a comment, it makes you feel like you're supposed to be having it. You've got to drop the people pleasing and learn that in order for you to get what you want, you're going to have to worry about what matters most to you. That's not selfish. That is literally self care. It's saying that, hey, this is something that's important to me and I need to attack this goal. And I know that I'd rather do this than that. And guess what? When you do that, you feel more empowered. Okay. So even though you might be focusing so much on the diet, like, I need to clean up my diet, I need to, start, meal prepping more, all this stuff. You're not focusing on these three things, which are impacting your ability to stay focused and actually adhere to any diet. So rather than being so perfect all the time, why not build a plan that actually builds in imperfect times? You don't have to always have meals prepped in order to be on track with your nutrition. You don't have to always, have the perfect plan. Sometimes the perfect plan is like, what's one thing that I can actually stick to this week because everything else is chaotic? It's really understanding that all of those things are going to really impact your ability to stay focused on a diet. And most importantly, this is going to be a shorter episode today because it's kind of a short topic, but the main thing here is if you're searching for a diet, you're likely searching for the wrong thing. You should be searching for the solutions to being able to meal prep, to be able to handle life stress, to be able to do things, how to navigate hunger and cravings, understanding all of those things. And your nutritional approach to your goals should be one that is actually very flexible and allows you to do all of those things no matter what life brings you. If I don't have food cooked today, I can still be on track with my normal nutrition plan because I know what to grab if I need to grab something in a pinch that doesn't require me to cook. But most people live in a world of I'm making these big changes or I'm going back to my comfort zone. And in order for you to step into a new thing, you're going to have to change what you're currently doing. So, again, if you are somebody that is looking for a more sustainable solution and you are tired of going down Dr. Google and trying to find a solution, and you are recognizing that maybe you are a little bit of a procrastinator and you are interested in learning a little bit more about taking a flexible approach to your nutrition, shoot me a message. Would love to hear from you. Keeping this episode short today. I hope you guys are all having an awesome week, and I will talk to you all on my Gains Train episode coming up later this week.